Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. It might not be posted on a Wednesday, or you may not be viewing it on a Wednesday, but it is a Wednesday for me. Happy Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it may be. Today I'm just chatting about a hot topic that I actually get asked a lot, and that is how to build your team. So when you're going from being a solopreneur, you're the person who wears all the hats. How do you start hiring for specialized roles that you can delegate? And I've definitely made mistakes along the way. So I'm happy to share those mistakes so that you guys can learn from them and either not make them or make your own mistakes and learn from it. Because being an entrepreneur, being a founder, starting your own business is all about learning and growing. The first biggest mistake that I made when hiring my team was sometimes I was like so busy, so go, go, go. And it was this catch 22. Like I needed help, but I needed to hire people to help me. So I hired too quickly. I'd be like, oh, okay, you have the skills, great. Let's do it. Before really like vetting them the way that you should, because there are some things that you should have sort of criteria in your mind besides, oh, this person knows this. In my case, it was like they know this design software, um, like soft criteria. And some of that criteria could be like a soft criteria for me was like uh, time zone. I had hired someone who worked in Hawaii, and that time zone just didn't work. It was just too far from the online hours I was normally online. So it was hard to like train and ask questions and stuff like that because she was working, I think like, I don't know, like 2 a.m. to like 9 a.m. my time or something like that. So it was just a little bit difficult. And that should have been a criteria for me because I really needed to have someone online at some of the hours if I was online, to be available to ask questions and train and things like that. So establishing the criteria of the person you really want that works in your system is actually a really important thing that I underestimated. The second mistake that I had made was that um, someone who, and I just did a podcast about this, but someone who has all of the technical skill is not necessarily the best candidate. So like let's say you find someone who like has all of this technical skill, has been working years and years and years in this certain industry and knows this like the back of their hand, and they're within your budget and you're like thrilled. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. A lot of the time, or at least in my experience, the person with the best technical skill didn't always have some of the soft skills that I was looking for. So like some of the soft skills that I was looking for that helped shape my company culture was like um, adaptability in UI UX design. Things like change really often. We work with a lot of like startups to mid-sized companies who are growing really fast. So being adaptable and flexible to sort of shifting gears, learning new trends and things. Maybe the trends have changed. I don't know if you noticed, if you have an iPhone on Safari, they like changed it from the top search bar to the bottom search bar. And maybe that's like the new standard of search bars that they're trying to do. That was a bit of a tangent, but just establishing that some of the soft skills might supersede the technical skills, because you can always teach someone and someone can always teach themselves through YouTube, Skillshare, whatever, a certain platform. So if you're so focused on someone knowing a certain platform or a certain technical skill, try to also look at some of those soft skills that help shape your company culture. Um, the way that this person may be talking to your clients, this person may be talking to the rest of your team as you build it, how would you want that to look like? In my case, it's friendliness and being excited and passionate. And that's the kind of vibe I like to have in my company culture. So sort of looking for those things in candidates is really important. So those are just a few of the mistakes that I had made. But I also wanted to address some questions that I've actually gotten recently about team building. So the first one is, Sorry, there was like a blip in the recording just now. But the first one is standard operating procedures. How do you start to kind of make a training manual or systemize it so that you don't have to sit one-on-one every single time you want to add a team member? And this is a gradual process. The first thing I would recommend is take a look at Trainual. That's Train UAL. You could start a free trial, and they actually have some like cool like onboarding templates that you can look at to kind of get inspired about what your onboarding might look like. The second recommendation as you go through Trainual is to not get so overwhelmed. Your training process, your standard operating procedures, like that will come with time. It will change. It will be a living, breathing document. Your systems will change and everything like that. An important thing to keep in mind is as you go, make sure you document things. So if you start a new system, if you start a new way of doing it, just always keep it in the back of your head that people come and go. Your team member is going to come and go. So if there's something new that's happening in your company, you never want like a single team member to like know everything. Like, and then let's say your team member goes on vacation. You want to be able to know if you have to pick up the work or someone else has to pick up the work, what they're doing. So recording any new processes is an important part of building your standard operating procedures. But for the baseline of your standard operating procedures, what I have found to be really helpful are just documents. That could be a Google Drive document, a Dropbox paper document, a document that lives not in a Word doc on your desktop, but somewhere in a file sharing system that everybody has access to. And in that document just lives, I would start with a video, like basically when you're training your person or before you train your person, instead of sitting on a video with them and showing them how to do everything, just make videos of what you were going to show them on like a live call. And then that way you have videos of exactly what you want them to do and learn. So make a couple videos of what you would normally do and say during the training. Put those videos in a storage document, like a G Drive document, a paper, Dropbox document, whatever it is, and add some notes about anything that you need. Like, is there a specific logon to do this? Are there specific URLs or sites you're having them go to? And just supplemental information under the video. So it can be like step 1, log into this and do this part. Step 2, click here for the analytics and, you know, download the spreadsheet or whatever those sort of like 3 steps are to kind of get started. And then they just repeat that process. So exactly what you're doing on a video, just document it. And those are the baselines of your standard operating procedures. But don't get so overwhelmed to be like, oh my God, I have to document everything from here and the future and the future's future, because it'll change. The things you're doing now aren't always going to be what you're doing. So the best thing to do is to document what you are doing now and in the near future. So that's my thoughts on standard operating procedures, as well as like onboarding systems and templates, as well as training outlines. So actually I knocked out a couple of these questions in one. But just be nice to yourself, be graceful. I think another part of building teams is actually as your team grows and gets to grow, you have different types of people. So if you're always looking for like the all-star people, the best, the most personable, the friendliest, the extroverts, and that's how you want to build your culture, you also need a balance of like introverts, of other people. The best analogy I've heard this explained, and I think it's really true, is if you have a farm, you need the farmers, the people who are like growing the crops, deciding which crops to grow, all that type of stuff. And you also need the growers, the people who are like watering it, the people who are taking care of it. So you kind of need your back office people and you need your sort of like front office people, if that makes sense. So hiring a mix of people is actually a really good thing. Because if you have too much of the same person, if you have like too many extroverts, are all gonna butt heads. If you have too many introverts, you know, they're like the opposite of butting heads, I guess, is that, you know, it'll be hard to figure out who kind of takes the lead in those instances. So that type of thing. And it doesn't have to, an introvert can be a leader and can take the lead. It's not to say that an introvert and extrovert can't like be a leader. I'm just saying that there are different personality types that might be more conducive to, at least in my case, like client facing and like talking to clients or doing sales is comes easier to an extrovert, or maybe more interested. An extrovert may be more interested in that type of work. So small tangent there, but wanted to make sure I clarify. And then getting used to becoming a leader. So that's an interesting one because it just takes time. It's just one of those things that you're an entrepreneur and you've taken a big risk in starting your business and doing this whole thing. So it's kind of like maybe it's a scary thing and you're not sure what it looks like or what it's like to become a leader, but you just kind of jump head first, just like you did everything else, and be ready to fail, even though it's a bit nerve-wracking, and know that everybody else failed along the way and learned. But the best part about being a leader is leading by example. So if you are, which a lot of solopreneurs are, and CEOs and people who wear a lot of hats, if you're burning the candle at both ends, if you don't have a work-life balance, if you're stressing out all the time, those types of things are leading by example. And those types of things trickle down to your team. So just being aware of yourself, I guess, because the best thing you can do is lead by example. And a lot of that stuff with your team will follow. So just being, I guess, showing up and being your best self and trying your best is all you can do. All you could do as a leader. But I guess the other couple of things as a leader is that knowing that when you're managing people, there's different types of people. Like I was talking about the farmers and the growers, like the people who are sprouting new things in your company, and the people who are cultivating existing things in your company. There's different ways to manage those people. There's different ways to talk to those people. There's, everybody is different. So maybe an approach that you talk to one person in doesn't work for another person. So getting to know your team and understanding the style that motivates them, what they care about, what, is important to them, is really important. Some people just like to be managed differently, I guess is what I can say. And that's something that just kind of comes over time as well. Also, circling back to a little bit of documenting everything. Part of being a leader and managing a team is having plan Bs, contingency plans. Like if I heard it explained as like the hit by a bus analogy. So like if your business was hit by a bus, right? Like what, and you lost all of your team. Not saying that would happen, but just say, what would you do? What would happen? What if your entire team got sick at the same time? What would happen? So just having the documents that you need in place is just a good thing, just to have your plan B and know exactly what each person does, where that lives, and you have access to it. And you can always train someone new or pick up some of the work in the meantime. That has always helped me because it's just business. Things happen, right? So that's some of the advice I can offer. The last question I have here about team building is software. So you can use there's tons of software out there, but you're gonna want a project management system. My recommendation is Asana, ASANA. I'm like typing it with my fingers, but that's my recommendation for project management. There's a bunch of other stuff. I've heard Trello is another good one. Redbooth I've used in the past. Monday.com. Project management is essential to getting your team on the same page. And then there's time tracking is your software number 2. I used Toggl. That's TOGGL. without the E, I believe. And there's tons of time trackers as well. There's Everhour. I think some of the project management tools also have time tracking. I'm not sure on that, but you're going to want a way to track everyone's time and make sure you can look at like the hours that everyone spends and what they spend it on. And the third one is payroll. So I use Gusto, Gusto, for payroll, but there's tons of payroll service providers out there. And then the fourth one is some type of file storage. So that's Google Drive, Dropbox, something that, you know, you can host all your files in so it doesn't like live on people's computers. That is really important too. So just consider when you're hiring someone, and it's it's not I don't know what the word is. It's not a ton of money, but just consider that for every person you hire, you have an overhead cost of like the seats that these companies charge. So like for 8 seats, it's like $20 a seat on like I think Asana. So like you just have to calculate, okay, this is what that overhead for adding my team into these management platforms are. And yeah, I think that is it. I hope I answered all of the questions, but I know that like building a team is just a work in progress. So I'm glad to just offer my advice, but at the same time, everyone's path looks and feels different. So trust your gut and do what is right and what feels right for you at that time. And try not to be too overwhelmed. Easier said than done, right? But yeah, thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.